Alright, I'm recording. I have made a video on the alternating upper and lower case, and I've made a video on the palindrome. So I wanted to do one on the final string problem we had given you guys, and that's the password one. It's going to say like, hey, you're checking for a strong password, and in this case we're not looking for character length or anything, but is there an uppercase somewhere and is there a number somewhere? So let's make a function to do that. I'm going to say we're going to give it a name. Let's call it check password, and then it's only going to get one parameter, one thing sent to it. We'll call that PW just to make it nice and short, but you can call it whatever you want. And now this one is a little bit less quick than sometimes when you're checking a string, you're looking for one thing, and as soon as you see that one thing, you're instantly done. You know, like if we were looking for something that disqualified it, we could say, okay, if we ever hit that one thing, boom, we're kicked out, we're done. But in this case, we have to look through the whole word for, does it have a number? And if we ever see one, we're not quite done. We have to look through the whole word for, does it have a capital? And I guess if we see both, then we're done and we don't have to look through the rest. But I don't know if that's gonna, make it shorter. So for this, I'm gonna say like for character in password, and we're gonna look through the guy going one at a time. We don't need to worry about the index because that never comes into play. So I'm going to say something like, if there's a number, we do something. If there's a capital, we do something. I'm going to say if character is in, I think the easiest way, there might be a string method that's like character dot is num or something like that. But this is quick enough to say if it's in this list of the digits, then it's good, right? But again, we're not instantly kicked out. We're not done. So we want to keep track of that. Probably with a variable. So I'm going to make a variable and we'll call it like has num. And since it's only ever on or off, we can make it a Boolean. We'll start it out false, of course, and then you might guess we're going to need one for the other guy. I'm going to call it has cap. And so if we get through the whole thing and this is ever triggered once, that's going to be true, but we need the other guy as well. And then at the end, we're going to say return. We want both, right? And when you want both, you want to use the word and. So if this is like one but not the other, the and means it's going to give you false. And if it's both false, it'll give you false, of course. And if it's this one and this one true, it'll return true. So we just need to figure out how to do the capital. And now we could say the same thing as we did for this guy and be like, if it's in, and then put a giant list of all the capitals. But that would be ugly. And surely there's a better way, right? My first guess is to use the upper thing. We've already used upper quite a bit, so it should be fresh in our minds. We can say if character upper equals character. So that's like if there was a capital J, then capital J equals the one that was already capital. If it was lowercase, then this would not be true. So we're looking through each one, and if we ever find one where the upper is the same as the original, that must mean that the original was upper, right? So we can say has cap equal true. And then are we done? Let's see. We're going to run this guy, check password. Let's do it with an input for some testing. And then if we run that, it would never say what we did. So we're going to have to throw a print in there. So let's see what happens. Let's do one with neither. That's going to give us a false. Great. Let's do one with number. Uh-oh, that one's wrong. That one we have a number but no cap, and it said true, so we got to think about that. Let's do the other possibilities. Let's do a cap and no number, and that's fine because it's not sufficing all the requirements. And then let's do one with both. So this one is almost there, but in one of the combos, it's wrong, right? Like if you have a number but not a capital. And why is that? Well, let's go down the line. Okay, they both start out false, and this is the only time they're ever mentioned. So somewhere this guy must change to true, even though it shouldn't, right? It has to be in this line. So we're going down, and this says if character in there. That seems to be working, or at least in the 4 versions we tried. That was never wrong. It could be wrong in some other version. If character if character dot upper equals character, that's the one that must be wrong. And if you think about it for a second, let's have all lower and a number. Well, what if we actually run that on the number? The 1 dot upper is the same as the 1, because like the upper changes letters, but it doesn't change other stuff. It doesn't have an error with anything. So this is triggering on the number. This is like, hey, we're finding a spot that has a character that doesn't change when it goes to upper mode. Therefore, it's calling it true. Yet we don't want that to happen. So we could say like, if this and it fits into the alphabet. Right now I'm going to say elif. So that's going to be like bypassing the second line if it triggers the first one. And that will work for that. Now it's going to give us false for that situation where it gave us true earlier. And this is not bulletproof, because what if you have something that's not a number but still not a letter? So what if you have like a % sign or whatever? That might, oh, that didn't work in that one, so that's okay. But what if you have a number and one of those? Yeah, so that's not perfectly nailing it, but in the universe where only these things exist, that would have been okay. So we can think about if it's here and character in alphabet. Let's Google Python string methods, because I'm sure there is one somewhere to test. I know there's one for is alpha. Okay, we've used that before, so we use that again. So if character dot is alpha, now let's run it with a number and a different thing, but not a capital letter. It's working. Okay. So it's a little ugly to have that line sticking out so much, but otherwise it's great. And we're getting what we need to get. So I like that. Let's call it done.